Well, we're already getting started. Wait till you meet our next guest. Today, we're introducing a new segment on 9 News at 3 called Wealth Wednesday that gives you a dose of practical advice to help you build, protect, and pass on what matters most. Because living life to the fullest means planning for the future.
Yeah, we're joined by estate planning attorney, coach, speaker, author, friend, Michelle Adams, sharing just simple ways that you can grow your wealth, create a lasting legacy. Just those words are kind of intimidating, to be honest with you.
We're going to take that off the table. Okay. Yeah, because I think sometimes when people hear the word legacy, they start to think, well, I'm not Oprah, or I'm not pick your next billionaire person. And I'm of the belief that everyone creates a legacy. It's how we show up in the world. So the words that we use, the actions that we take, all of those things are starting to imprint on someone. Hopefully it's a good imprint. Now we're sharing what's really important to us.
Well, that's empowering.
It is
Yeah,
empowering.
so you got this.
And then before we get into some of your tips and tricks and your advice, just tell us a little bit briefly about yourself.
Yes. So it's been 15 years now that I've had my own estate planning business. And who would have thunk, because that was not the plan. And you say, I'm going to do this, and the plan turns around on you. So bottom line is I've been doing estate planning, financial planning since the early 90s. And as a result of the work that I've done, I see that people just really struggle sometimes. And so my goal is to educate. At my core, I'm an educator at heart. As you mentioned, I wrote a book, Family Strong, 7 Gifts for a Lasting Legacy. I'm also a speaker. I did a TEDx talk a while back ago, actually 3 years ago now, so that was really fun. And just real quick, it was on Generational Wealth, the remix. So every time people hear the word generational wealth, they think, that's not me. Yes, it is.
No, I love that.
Yes.
Sometimes you just need to hear that
Yes.
and understand that you can show up in that space, right?
Absolutely, 100%, yes.
Okay, well, let me ask you, because there's a lot of statistics out there that say, half of adults are not financially literate.
Yes.
What does that mean, and why do you think that is?
Well, I think also we have to find out, well, how are we defining financial literacy, right? So there are people who can go to the bank, open up a bank account, do all those things. But then if you take it to the next level of, well, what's an investment? Where should I invest my money? That's when we start to hear some crickets and we think, uh-oh, I may either need to talk to an advisor, or sometimes what people do, for good or for bad, they'll go to Google University and they'll look up some things. It's good to get a start, but my thought is you really need to have a professional in your corner to make sure that you're not making mistakes with things that you just have no idea about. So financial literacy, in my opinion, is something that we all need to have, and we need to take our heads out of the sand and really acknowledge and address what's going on in front of us.
Yeah, I avoid it.
Yeah, okay.
That's not a healthy trait.
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming to me. And I know a lot of Americans, and even, myself with 2 kids, a lot of us are just barely making it by. So how does somebody begin, even if they feel like they're in dire straits?
So here's what I tell people. We can all create an inventory of the things that we have. Even if it's $10 in the bank, that's still $10 in the bank that has your name attached to it. Because what I have found is that when someone passes away, or if they become ill, no one has any idea about where the assets are. So my first instruction to my clients and to your viewers is make a spreadsheet, whether it's old school Excel or a new school app. Do something where you're now inventorying all the things that you have. So if something happens to you, then at least your loved ones have a paper trail as to where to go to find this information. And I will add, so much of our stuff is digital, and I know that now my family knows all my passwords, so take that off the table. But so many people don't. And so phones, computers, they should be able to access that information because there's a digital trail, and if we can't get into your computer, we have no way of knowing what that digital trail is.
Wow, that's something so important that I don't think that has ever crossed my mind, to be honest with you. Okay, before we let you go, while we have you here, let's get another little tip. That's part one. What would you say is next in line?
The other thing is, and of course we're ending Women's History Month, but we all know Women's History Month is all year long, right? That said, women sometimes just do not have a sense of what's going on. And let me frame that. They're oftentimes in a relationship, someone who's very knowledgeable about what's happening and someone who may not be. And so we need to bring everyone to the table to make sure we all know what's going on. So again, creating that inventory, checking your beneficiary designations. We all may have a bank account, a 401k, a 403b, something, and oftentimes we don't know who's listed as the beneficiary or who's on title to an asset. And so just very quickly, I worked with someone, her spouse passed away, she thought she was on title to the house, she was not, and what should have been an easy process of transferring title at death became something that was a little bit more convoluted. So please know what's out there and what if your name is on that asset and who's listed as a beneficiary. One last thing, if you have minor children, I know both of you do, don't list your kids as beneficiaries on those accounts. That's a whole nother topic that we'll talk about, but
Okay.
it opens up court proceedings if you have minors listed.
Okay, that's a
Don't want
good
that.
tip.
Cliffhanger.
I know. I
Cliffhanger
was
for
like, I'm
sure.
going to go check because I
Yeah.
think I might
We
have
all do.
already
I do
did
too.
a big boo-boo.
Yep,
So,
okay.
okay.
All right, well,
It can be fixed.
Okay.
Michelle, thank
We're
you
learning.
so
Thank
much.
you
And if you
both.
want to learn
Yes.
more about Michelle, you can follow you on Michelle
Yes.
at Family Legacy Attorney.
That's me.
And we hope to see you again. Thank
Yes,
you so
looking
much,
forward
Michelle.
to it. Thank you both.
Thank you.